Greetings, travelers. I'm Josh.
And I'm Kahi.
And we're the Genshin guys. Welcome all. This podcast is for fans of Genshin Impact, the mobile game made by Hoyoverse, also known as miHoYo. Here we talk about our opinions, experiences, and dreams about Genshin Impact. If you like our show, don't forget to subscribe on Apple Music, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to the podcast. So before we get started, Kahi, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. It is Super Bowl Sunday right now, so we have a lot of people who are around the neighborhood. You might hear some little spikes of cheering. Hopefully not, but yeah, we just got lunch, so I'm good. Gonna be nice and fed and focused on today's topics. Good weather right now. I haven't mentioned that in a while. I'm trying not to make it a good habit or a bad habit. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How about you? How have you been lately?
I've been all right. But the biggest thing is, like, speaking about the weather, is that, like, it was raining a lot this past week, like a lot.
Oh, I love it. I
And
love
so
the rain here.
no, it was like dangerous. Like, it was like
Danger wind.
the city, like
Danger
flash
wind.
flood warnings because the city's like infrastructure is not built for this much rain, kind of dangerous. But it was like for a week, and now it's done, and so it's nice to have our weather back. But yeah, pretty much that, and just like playing some games like Grand Blue and stuff, trying to just figure some life stuff out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm all right, I guess. I mean, I'm alive, right? So yeah. All right, so I'll introduce today's topics. First of all, we're going to talk about our weeks in Genshin news. We're going to talk about Xianyun's story, or Cloud Retainer's story, and the Lantern Rite story, which is basically Gaming's story. And we're going to talk about a little bit about the new area, Chenyu Vale. We're also going to do community discussion question, as always, and one last wish to round out the episode. So don't forget to join our Discord. We do have a Discord link in the description below if you want to join our community, hang out with us, sometimes do some like community streams or karaoke and stuff like that. We haven't done karaoke in a while. Might be fun to do. But other than that, feel free to hang around and hang out with us and the community. Also, my LA meetup group for in person for Hoyoverse games, and specifically Genshin, is this weekend. So if you live in the LA area, you know anybody that does, that might be interested in hanging out and talking about Genshin in real life, and also doing some like I usually do like Who's Voice Line and riddles and stuff like that in person. If you know someone that might be interested in that, send them our way. You can go to meetup.com. The link should be in the description as well. And the last thing is to support the podcast if you have the ability to, using Ko-Fi. The link is in the description as well. Thank you for all of those that have donated to help us out. Everything goes back into the podcast in some way or another. So we really appreciate you helping us keep going. All right, let's get started with our first topic, which is our weeks in Genshin. All right, Kahi, how has your week in Genshin Impact been?
It's been pretty productive. So I've been focusing on leveling up my Xianyun. She's finally level 90, which is great. Her skill and burst are level 8, so I can't really do anything unless I get the weekly boss down. I've been kind of experimenting with some team compositions with her. I like my high dive team, so like my Xianyun, my Dia, my Kazuha, as well as Gaming. It's really good because all of their attacks and all of their skills are like jumping into the air and doing a slam on the ground, which is fun. So it's really satisfying. I like this team, but I've been trying to experiment with some older characters too, just because who can benefit the most from the plunge. But now that Xianyun is a good healer, is there any other team that could benefit from another animal healer instead of Jean? I mean, Jean's still good as a healer, great, but I mean, she's like a continuous healer. That's awesome. But I'm trying to think of like what's another good thematic team. So I came up with another one, and this is called Liyue's Finest. It's basically, I went back to Ningguang and Beidou on the team again. Then I have Yelan, and then I have Xianyun. So I have good mobility, I have a bow for ranged, I have Catalyst for damage, I have Beidou for defense, and all of them pretty much will complement the other in some way. So especially with Ningguang, she has like all these ranged attacks, and you have Yelan, and then you have Ningguang, and Beidou contributing to that. So you have like a good taser team with shields, and then you have a healer with an attack buff, and you have a claymore user just in case you want to do the jump and slam. So it's very well rounded and very thematic. So I like that team a lot. It's just Xianyun is a really good addition because she's like a bit of everything. She's a damage support, she's a heal support, she's fun to use her skill, she's out in the field for a little bit. She's out in the field for as long as you want. If you want to turn into a DPS or purely focus her on heals with attack, she's still going to be good for DPS. So she's a really fun addition to all of my teams. I'm really trying to figure out what's a good solid team to keep her in. And right now, I think I just like her on the high dive team. But yeah, I've just been trying to focus in on her. I did Lantern Rite, which we'll definitely talk about later on today. But yeah, that's pretty much been my focus. So what about you? Anything you're focusing on?
Yeah, I mean, I have both accounts. It's really annoying to like mentally manage both accounts
Yeah,
because like
twice of everything.
my Asia account's my main account where I do everything, and that's the one I want to level up. But if I'm gonna play with anybody, like most of the people in the community, it's gonna be on my NA account. So like part of me sometimes is like, oh, this is my main account, I want to work on it. But then sometimes I'm like, oh, this is my NA account, so I want to work on it so I can play with people, because the things I do, the time I spend in my Asia account, not many people will actually see or experience, except for like on stream, for example. But like if I play with people in co-op, any investment that I put into my NA account shows up there. So, I'm kind of like torn sometimes about like which one I want to work on. And so I have Xianyun in both. I have Gaming in my Asia account, but then I'm gonna pick him from the Lantern Rite in my NA account once I do the story on there. And yeah, I'm like yeah, and basically I just been kind of doing a little bit of both. So like both of my Xianyuns on one account she's 70, on one account she's 60. I leveled up Gaming. I'm really excited to start doing teams. I have not been doing teams with them, but I did, because of the story, start wanting to use Kaching again. I kind of missed her. I used her a lot at the beginning of the game, and yeah, she's just a really good unit. And honestly, I don't know. I wanted to level up my NA account with different characters, but I do have Kaching on my NA account as well, so I was considering using her on there. No, but see, this is where the thoughts come in. But then I have a C4 Kaching on my Asia account, so if I'm going to use her in Spiral Abyss, I might as well use her there. It's this whole thing. So yeah, I just not really good at kind of picking. It kind of changes depending on my mood which account I want to work on, which is really bad because I don't have time to work on two accounts. So a lot of my time ends up being split. But I've been having a lot of fun. I mean, exploring is super fun. The event has been great. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much been my week. It's just kind of doing that stuff. Just finding time to do stuff. All right, so let's move on to Genshin news. All right, not much Genshin news in terms of like new content or anything, for example, because the Lantern Rite is going on. But there was Linny and Lynette, who are twins, and their birthday was on February 2nd, and Al Haytham, whose birthday is February 11th, which is today, the day we're recording this podcast. Which is pretty cool because I know a lot of people like all those characters. Yay. Now the one thing I did want to mention is that recently for those of you that follow the Genshin community, like content creator space, there was like a huge drama between like a lot of the different content creators, and it got really personal.
Oh no, how terrible.
I mean, it got really personal, and they're doing all this stuff, and it's like, I don't really, this is not why I'm in the Genshin community, is to like, for people to do stuff like this. So yeah, it's basically just, if you're not aware, there was a big beef between a lot of the creators. They're mostly not talking about it anymore, as far as I know. I'm assuming some of them are not actually talking to each other anymore, but some of them kind of reconciled. So it's calmed down in the past couple days, but it was like everywhere. Like I couldn't sign on without like just seeing that for like a lot of different parts of my day. And
it's spilling over into my other YouTube subscriptions. Why?
Yeah, right. So like creators that are not even involved got involved to defend their other creators and like all this stuff. And yeah, it was just a big mess. And yeah, I just hope that the funny thing is it stemmed from like the one of the content creators talking about the Lantern Rite rewards being not that great, and then that sparked this whole discussion, and it's like, oh my god. So anyway, if this was a distraction tactic, it didn't work. We still want better rewards. No, it was just a lot, and I don't think that that kind of thing should have been settled publicly. I know there were reasons why people wanted to post stuff, even though they quote unquote didn't want to post stuff. But I mean, the point is that none of us know these people. So like even if you watch their streams, you know what I mean? Like you don't know them. You don't know what they do. And they, a lot of them don't know each other, but a lot of the drama they were having was from like physical interactions with each other. So, that's a whole different thing. So yeah, it was just a lot. And I just, for those of you that may not have been aware or just anything like that, it is a big thing. It probably will be referenced in some point in time in the future in general. This is just us letting you know it happened. We don't really have an opinion on it. It has nothing to do with us. It was what was happening this past week, and it was taking up a lot of the internet space around the game. So that's it. You don't have anything to say about it, right, Kahi?
All of this could have been avoided if they just talked a little bit more at the beginning. That's all I'm saying.
That's usually how it is, right?
A lot of it. It's such an anime trope where like, oh, because of this one miscommunication or this one assumption, you have the entire show happen.
So, yeah, exactly.
If you just talked a little more,
yeah.
If you just communicated your thoughts and feelings from the beginning instead of putting it off, brushing it off, ignoring it, and say I'll deal with it later. This is how this thing kind of happens. So this is like, someone called this, oh, this is just high school drama all over again. I'm like, yeah, in a way, yes.
Yeah,
in a way it is.
Yeah.
We are more connected now than we are before. In high school, it only happened in your school. Now the entire world is the school. So more people find out about micro drama, which just affects more people, which affects other people who have these parasocial relationships, which affects all these other people who want to talk about it and capitalize it. So just talk, just say what you really need to say and then just move on with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be okay if they just didn't talk about it on the internet, like
that would
figure it
also
out privately.
be good.
You know what I mean?
But
it really has nothing to do with everybody. So yeah, I don't know.
In the day and age where you can capitalize on anything, especially what you say and what you think, everyone's gonna find some way to monetize it.
Yeah, and this is the thing now, right? Like where people blow things up on social media, or things blow up on social media, blow up out of proportion, and a lot of the original meaning is lost.
Clout.
And then the clout.
I don't like using the word clout. I don't like using that at all. Like I've never needed to use that in daily life. I've never relied on it. I don't really feel like devoting an entire podcast episode to this kind of stuff. I used to have like a little bit, like last year when we started to do this podcast, I had this thing called the Social Safari, where I look up like little posts from all these other communities, like Reddit, Twitter. I'm like,
no thanks.
That's just tiring already. Nah.
It's not worth it.
If it's important, we'll hear about it. Not worth it.
Yeah. And if it's important, we'll bring it up, right? So for people that aren't really involved in that space, we are not trying to get you involved or get involved, but just be aware that something is happening. It's always better to be aware, I think, of things that are happening versus being actively involved in them, especially if they actually don't involve you, but they affect the community that you're in, or they affect people around you, right? So that's why I think it's important to be aware. Okay, so that's pretty much the biggest thing that happened in Genshin terms for the past week. Because of Lantern Rite release, they kind of just did a bunch of Lunar New Year-esque posts about stuff, but I think they did a behind-the-scenes video about Gaming, which I have not watched yet, but someone sent it to me, my wife sent it to me, and she was telling me it was really good, so I'm gonna go watch that later. But I think that's the only other thing that happened besides like them releasing cutscenes from the Lantern Rite festival. So let's move on to our first major topic for today, which is Xianyun's story. Okay, so we're going to talk about Xianyun's story and Lantern Rite story. So if you haven't finished either of those, please pause the podcast and go finish those first before listening for the best experience. Obviously, if you don't care about spoilers, we'll be talking about it, but you won't understand maybe the specific things. So I definitely recommend listening to them, to this podcast after playing the stories yourself or watching them online. All right, with that being said, let's start talking about the story. Okay, so Kahi, I messed up. I did this entire story last night on stream, okay? But
Mm-hmm.
I've been out of the loop. Like I just haven't been playing that much, and I've just been signing on doing dailies. I've been busy with real life stuff. So I sign in, and the first thing I do is Lantern Rite. And
Oh
then I did
no!
Xianyun's story. And I'm
Ah, out
like,
of
who the
order.
hell? What? I was
No.
like, what is? Am I supposed to just assume that Shunha works at Shangling's restaurant now? And like this, who is this little girl? What is she?
Oh no! You did it out of order.
So I did it out of order.
Shucks.
The freaking, I didn't get a pop-up that said the recommended story, blah blah blah. Like on the banner, you can press a button that says
I mean,
recommended
it's
story
not
quest.
required, but
Right, but
oh
it's like
man.
recommended. So like I
Yeah.
did it backwards. I finished Lantern Knight story first, and then I went back to Shenyun story, and I was like, now it makes sense. Oh man. So yeah, that sucked. But let's talk about Shenyun story first, because that canonically happens first. So Shenyun story was basically the story of her going to check up on Ganyu and Shunha and how they were doing living in the city. And then, she basically, in the end, decides to move to the city to be closer to them. And actually, there's that little story about the girl. What's her name?
Shuyu?
Shuyu? Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm pretty
Shuyu,
sure it starts with an S. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's Shuyu, and like her about her grandmother and how her grandmother is actually a stork. Okay, so all that happened, and then Xianyun basically decides to live in the city, and it's pretty neat. Shenhe also gets a job at Shangling's restaurant, like as I mentioned earlier. So, what were some like highlights for you, like some thoughts you had about the story that stuck out to you?
You know, the thing I like about Xianyun's character is that she tries to hold this persona of being high and mighty and like all wise and all knowing, but she's really like trying to suppress the natural human inclinations and emotions. Like she's trying to just put on this
Yeah,
face.
just emotions in general,
She
right?
is she is such a mom. She's like asking all these subtle questions, but in a way that makes her look like, oh, I'm just inquiring. I really want to do this with this information. Like I remember specifically, she was the moment she said she asked what is it, street performer or Madam Ping, how much more would it cost to live comfortably down here? Like, oh my god, you really are gonna move in,
Yeah,
aren't you? The little subtle questions. And honestly, it was like my favorite parts were at the end where she brings all of like these ancient relics, and not relics, but just like all of her stuff
well,
at the
Zhongli,
end and all this luggage, and she's trying to sell it, and the seller can't believe that they're authentic because there's no way I can actually judge these properly, because if they are worth what you
hundreds
say
of
they
years
are,
old too.
I would have, yeah, if they are authentic, I either he would go broke or he wouldn't be able to actually give them the right price, because it's just too real. And she's just like, these are just trinkets from home. They're just been sitting for so long. And Zhong Li's appearance was funny. I like how they use Zhong Li as like this subtle, humble, grand entrance where he's just doing his own thing off to the side, and suddenly he just walks into the scene. Like the god of the entire area is just, you know,
Casually
he's just
walking in.
strolling, casually walking
Dude, that
through,
that
or
reminds
like
me,
flying a kite or something.
when we were streaming. So last week, for those of you guys that missed it, Kaya and I did like a small stream where we co-opted and went around the new area. And like I got pulled into a cutscene about like with the old guy talking about the commerce guild or whatever, and like Kahi we're in co-op, so Kahi like switches to Zhongli and just like roleplay walks, like
Walking
casually
through.
just slowly walks through the background of my like cutscene. And I was like, wait, what the heck? Zhongli's just walking by and nobody's saying anything, and it was freaking Kahi. I was like so confused. But then in this story this time, Zhongli actually just casually strolls up, and he's the guy who is of course it's gonna be him who appraises it, right? And then yeah, so that was a great moment for sure.
Yeah, so pretty much my whole like impression of this story is just seeing how, from all the ways from the incident with the Jade Chamber and, you know, Beige, the whole like the fight with the Sea Beast, they always had this mindset of like leaving humanity to their own devices and kind of like having this distance. But then over the years, like literally over the last 3 years, we see like the Adepti, the ancient gods, slowly kind of like getting pulled back into human society to kind of have this oneness, this one united feeling, because they have lived alongside humanity for so long, but they've always had this distance, and they think that they have to. But in this new age where they just want to, they still feel that guardianship, that protection around the people that they've used to preside over. They still have this curiosity that they want to, live among them. They want to check up on them. Xianyun being the first to like kind of make her way back in and integrate herself is just, it's symbolic. It's great because it plays into Lantern Rite as well. But it's also kind of a parallel to what happened in the past too, because when you have all these like the gods and the sovereigns, when they have authority over the elements and over the land, and they have like the humans as their subordinates, there's like that, there is a gap in their power and ability, and there's always, as time goes on, they have this draw together. So they either live amongst the people, or they humble themselves, or like quiet down, calm themselves down, and just kind of like settle. They settle in. It does, history has a habit of repeating itself. This is a really good way of just saying that, the age of gods is over, but the gods are still here. The age of magic might be coming to an end as well, but magic will still exist in a way, because they're just trying to make sure that they find a delicate balance between everyone. So they don't want it to be too distant between them. I know we'll talk about Lantern right after this one, but speaking purely about Xianyun, it's just nice that the one of the biggest reasons why she felt compelled to go to Liyue is not just for the people itself, but specifically like 2 humans that she took in and then kind of raised herself, and then they went back to the city, and then she's like getting bored and lonely, so she kind of just concocts whatever reason, whatever excuse to kind of just peek in and see how they're doing, and then decides to just move in altogether. It's just funny.
Yeah, well, she also remember, she's taking on Shuyu as a disciple as well, so she's going to be like the first disciple raised in the city. And so it's I think the perfect thing about Shuyu is that you can tell Cloud Retainer was lonely, so now she has a new protege, right? Like a new disciple,
new apprentice.
Yeah, and so she can be there with them and closer. So it all works out basically, right? And for me, like, one of the biggest things was like how sad the end was with the grandmother, and just learning like the truth, even though Cloud Retainer knew the truth the whole time, and then Shuyu learning the truth as well. It was really sad. Like, it was a really sad scene, right? And then, oh my god, dude, then the traveler dreaming about finding their sibling, right? Yep. And then waking up crying. Oh my god, dude, that was so sad. I was so teared up. It was
like, it's been 3 years. Come on already.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that was nice. And I remember, but people remember you were talking about being confused about them in the trailer, seeing them physically together, and I was like, yeah, it's probably a dream. And of course it was a dream. But yeah, it was definitely really sad to see that happen. And man, it was great when Traveler woke up, and then Xianyun was like, did you have a bad dream? And he was like, I mean, it was a good dream, but, and then she was like, so you didn't want to wake up? And then he was like, and that whole scene being voice acted was so good. It was really emotional. So that was a huge highlight for me. Yeah, so let's just roll right into Lantern Rite story then, because it basically continues right off of that, which is why I was so confused, because actually some time did pass, because weirdly enough, even though in game was it in real life, I think only a couple days passed from Xianyun's release to Lantern Rite event release, less than a week. Because at the beginning, I do remember at the beginning of the Lantern Rite story that when the Traveler and Paimon mentioned to her that they ran into Mooncarver and Mountain Shaper, that she was like, oh my god, I forgot about them. I've been here a while already, in the city. And I was like, okay, wait. That's when I got confused. I was like, huh? I was like, what are you talking about? You've been here a while.
Where was she?
Yeah,
where was she this whole time?
Dude, I was so confused. Okay, Lantern Rite story was the... All right, can you summarize the Lantern Rite story for us, Kahi?
So Lantern Rite is pretty much a Chinese New Year celebration in the game in their own universe. There's always different themes. There was lanterns being one a couple years ago, and then you have this year's theme, which is more like the kites. Or the other year, last year was fireworks, I believe.
Right.
It was lanterns, fireworks. Now it's kites. And these, while they aren't like the main plot driver or the main, what do they call it? I forgot what did they call that in movies where they have like the object is the kind of like the reason why the plot goes forward.
Catalyst?
The MacGuffin.
Oh,
No,
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was like an Irish word or something. But yeah, it's not centered around the object itself, but more like what it symbolizes. So
Right.
the kite was kind of a good theme because kites and how it is carried by the winds and symbolizing freedom, but yet it has a string and a tether that keeps it grounded, connected to some things in the past, or maybe
Such a good
some more,
analogy.
like closer relationship bonds. It's such a good, I love it. Such a good analogy because last year with the fireworks it was very explosive, it was very fun, it was very entertaining. It wasn't really like something that was meant to be taken in a very like somber way or a sulking mood or just
Yeah,
it was just all
like life.
fun and hyper.
Just like life,
Just like life in general.
Things just fly into the sky and explode.
Mhm.
Typical life stuff.
Typical. It's very explosive and very colorful.
Yep.
Very bright and shiny.
Very loud.
This time, very loud, of course. But this time, being that it was more of a heartfelt story this time around, because I feel like this was a much longer. It felt like a longer cutscene that played.
Yeah,
towards
right.
the end of
It did feel like that.
Basically, this entire thing centers around Xianyun and Gaming, because we're the two new characters from this patch. I would say Gaming had more of a focus because Xianyun, of course, had her own story, which had a big focus on her, and then she kind of pops in for like one big section. Gaming's whole story is he is from Chaoying village, which is in the new area, of course, with all the tea makers known for their tea. And there's a really big family there he is a part of, but he kind of leaves town. He kind of leaves the city to go to Liyue and to pursue his dream of being a wushu dancer, as well as a kind of like a Mylith bodyguard. Yeah, just a regular guard. He's not with the Mylith though,
Yeah,
right?
just a guard. No,
The
he's
Millilith?
just a guard.
Yeah, just a guard. Okay.
I think.
There's kind of a distance. I'm pretty sure he's not Mylith. I want to
Okay.
say Mylith because Millilith just sounds weird.
What?
But I'm
it's
pretty sure it's
though.
Millilith.
Yeah.
It should be Millilith. Okay. The Mills. So the Mills decided...
No, don't say that. Just say Millilith. Why does
Okay,
it
fine.
Millilith sound weird to you?
It's the alliteration of the tongue just to get one word out, the Millilith. Like the guards.
All right, Kai. You can
It's
call
just
him the Mills.
easier to say,
You can call him the
whoever.
Mills. Go for it.
Okay.
Sure.
So, okay, anyways, getting back to Gaming. So Gaming is like the central main character of this arc, if you can call it that. So, we're preparing for Lantern, right? We're meeting all these, people to, gather all the materials for the kite making, and we're meeting these new characters, and we start to follow Gaming around for a little bit. We follow him on a commission that leads us to the new area, into the village, as well as what is it? Yilong
Wharf.
Yilong Wharf. Yes, Yilong
Yeah.
Wharf. It's like the intermediary town, the port town from Fontaine to the Liyue region.
Right.
We realize that Gaming has a pretty big family there that he's actually actively avoiding for a suspicious reason. So we find out why later on. It's because everyone there is trying to help everyone together and kind of do like one cohesive like family business, running the tea trade, as well as just being like in a small village area. Whereas Gaming kind of wanted to get out a little bit more. He wanted to spread his wings and fly. He identifies more with the kite rather than the string. He uses the string as something that kind of like holds him back, or is something that is not really favorable if you're trying to like embody a kite's supposed to be in the air, free and going wherever it wants to. But I think Shenhe was the one that said that they look at the string as something that is still very good, like a good
Yeah, I think it was
a
her.
good symbol. Yeah, because she still likes being in town and amongst the people because she finds them fascinating. She still has like that monotonous attitude. And she still has kind of violent tendencies, but still she does like hanging out with Xianyun, which is basically the mother figure of her and Ganyu. Throughout this whole thing, we start to slowly uncover, why Gaming feels like this and what the family eventually thinks of him. We follow Xianyun for a little bit too, because Mountain Carver and Moonshaper, or is it Mountain Shaper or Mountain Carver?
It's Mountain Carver and Moon. Wait, no. Yeah, it's Mountain Carver and Moonshaper.
Yeah, okay, Mountain Carver. Yeah. They assume human names and human forms, and it is, I'll be honest, it's kind of disappointing that they got like just, spruced up NPC models. I thought they were going to be like full models later on, but they're just used as comic relief throughout this whole thing. I love their buddy dynamic. They still carry their same manner of speech from me.
Wait, it's Mountain Shaper and Moon Carver.
It's Mountain Shaper.
Yeah,
see, it is Mountain Shaper.
Yeah.
Okay.
You confused me. I was like, you were right, and then
Sorry.
you got confused, and I got confused. Okay, but
So
yeah.
Moon
So I
Carver,
saw
Moon
a
Carver.
post. I don't know if you saw it, but it was
Mhm.
like somewhere in an alternate reality, and someone did like an edit of like them and what they could look like as playables, and one looked like kind of like Jingyuan, but recolored the Jingyuan from Honkai Star Rail, and then another one looked like a little more original, but he looked kind of like Blade slash Baiju. But they were like, man, they could have had cool designs. They wasted their chance.
I think it was better to put them in this time around rather than waiting like for another year next Lantern Rite, or like several intermediate patches down the road, because I guess the timing wouldn't make sense later on, because right now is the whole transition of the Adepti going back into human society. So if we waited another year just for one more Adepti to show up, we would kind of, so much time would have to pass already from now until next year's stories and next year's patches and characters, or it will kind of feel out of place. But
wait, what are you talking about?
of course,
Like
there's going to be another Lantern Rite.
they should have just designed their characters and then made them playable later. You know what I mean? Kind of like how we see all the design. Like we saw
Yeah, like the
Cloud
2D
Retainer's
version
design.
and
Yeah.
then 3D. Yeah.
Like they could have just did that. They didn't. I'm not expecting more of them to be playable anytime soon. But like if they're gonna make Cloud Retainer look like a banger, like a boss character, and then
Yes.
then they're gonna like make these two guys literally recolored NPCs. They were literally NPCs you find in the game randomly that are just recolored. Like what? Like they really have zero interest in making them look cool too. Like they're supposed to be all powerful and they just look normal. It's so weird. So, and they could always just like go back and be like, oh, I wanted to change my look, and then they make them more fantastic looking because they're too lazy to do it now. But like, it's such a weird thing to like see Cloud Retainer her as she is, and you see those two normal ass guys. It's like,
especially because when we first met them, they had pretty big significance in the story too.
Yeah.
We talked to them just as much as Cloud Retainer. But
yeah, and they're also
trying to
really
figure
cool.
out
I like their
why.
animal forms. I actually like both of their animal
Yeah,
forms more than
the
Cloud
deer
Retainer.
and then the other stork,
Yeah.
the other like a dark crane. Man, I mean, we'd have another character with antlers instead of just Yanfei.
Exactly.
So, but overall, at the end of it, we finally saw, him and the dad reconcile, and we finally had the performance, which was awesome. And then you have Xianyun, up in her lofty abode above on a roof, watching everything by herself. It was pretty cool too, really fun, where all the kites started to fall, and they're like, "Oh no, the kites are falling into the ocean!" And then, being the controller of Animo in the region, she just summons her own contraption and just kind of lifts all the kites up into the air herself. Symbolic in a way, very metaphorical, but I like this one. Yeah, it's full of heart, full of emotion, full of story, full of characters. I like how Charlotte is just like everywhere important, because she's just always taking pictures and documenting everything. What was surprising to me was the sudden appearance by all the Fontaine characters. You remember that at the end?
Oh my god, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you remember?
Yeah.
That's the whole fourth act.
I know, but like, I wasn't expecting to see them at the end of a Lantern Rite festival. I mean, I would expect to see like some kind of crossover of like, involving themselves into the whole festival as well, but they're just, oh hey, now that the festival is over, let's just add another portion with the Fontaine characters. Which I get. It is currently in the Fontaine, expansion, but that was still a surprise to see them all the way in the Xiaoying village. And apparently, what was. Do you remember what um oh, what was she doing? What was, oh dang it. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now. There's a lot that I wanted to talk about in this one. Do you remember what each Fontaine character was doing in that village? I forget why they went there.
They just wanted a vacation.
Was that really it?
Yeah.
Okay, New Villette had to do something there too, but he was only there briefly.
Yeah, something like that, but it wasn't like a big deal. They kind of just passively mentioned it.
Okay. Well, without me rambling on too much, because I know I don't want to
Whoa, are you the street
summarize and
rambler?
say everything.
Are you the street word
know.
rambler or whatever? Madam Ping.
What was the other? Guizhang. What was her name? She was like not an inventor or something. Guizhang had a name. She was the one that was like playing the music and singing.
Yep.
Street
Wait,
performer?
no, that's street.
Wait, no, that was
Rambler or
Madam
whatever.
Ping.
That's Madam Ping.
Okay, wait. So
Guizhang
what
was the other
Guizhang's-
inventor.
Okay, but she had like a street name or something.
You
Well,
know what's
okay,
funny?
anyway,
I asked
before-
this on
before-
chat the other
yeah.
day, and I couldn't figure it out.
Okay. Anyways, did you have a favorite part? Did
Oh,
you have
also,
a favorite character
Guizhang is the
show?
god of dust, but that's it. I don't think she has a nickname.
Okay, I thought she had like a local name that people called her, like street performer or something, or street rambler.
Street performer. You said that earlier too.
I'm trying to figure out what her other name was, but maybe I'm assuming they all had a nickname or something.
No,
But yeah, what was your favorite part?
Madam Ping is street word rambler. But okay, yeah. Anyway, my favorite part was the scheme that they're all in on to get Gaming to talk to his dad, and vice versa.
Oh, they
and,
put
like,
on the
them-
whole.
They put on the whole
facade.
act, and oh my god, the Xianyun and Shenhe part it's just so funny, where they're like, she's trying to have like a normal conversation, but like then she remembers that nothing Shenhe does is normal. Like and just like hearing all their inner monologues, it's just so funny. Also the part with the Fontaine characters where like Zhongli and Farina, and like, they're kind of like, they have like
and
they all
Hu
have like an
Tao, yeah.
understanding, and there's like a lot of inner monologues there too, for like what's happening, because Hu Tao is not really involved in any of the godly stuff, and she's just kind of there. But yeah, it was really interesting to hear, and I love how like what is it, Zhongli was like avoiding New Villette on purpose. You remember that?
Okay, so New Villette and Zhongli, did they ever interact? I don't think
No.
so.
No.
Okay, so
Zhongli
no.
avoided New Villette on purpose.
Okay, what was the exact reason for that one? I think I
They
missed
don't
that.
they don't say. So what happened was, New Villette came to get some stuff, and Zhongli like quote unquote walked away to get them some tea, and then New Villette met with like Farina and Hu Tao, and then he left. Zhongli came back, and they were like, "Oh man, you should have met this guy. We feel like you would be really good friends." And and then like he said like, "Oh, something something something," and then the traveler was like, "Oh, I think you were avoiding, like I think he was avoiding him," and then they did like a little silent like nod to each other or something, like he's like, "Oh, I understand," but like they didn't really say why he avoided him. Maybe it's because like he's an Archon and like New Villette is a sovereign, so like maybe it wouldn't be a good situation. I don't know.
Well, Zhongli also like beat the other dragon and is now like in control of Geo. But not directly related to like him beating the dragon, but like he and Azdaha, I mean, weren't
Well,
really
Azdaha is not the
exactly
sovereign
friends.
of Geo.
He wasn't? Wait,
No.
who was?
No, we
we
don't
don't
know.
know, do we?
We don't know. We don't know a lot of
Okay.
them. We just know. We literally know
Huh.
Apep
Well, there was a Geo
and
Dragon.
Neuvillette. There is a dragon for all of them, but we only know Apep and
Mhm.
Neuvillette. I think those are the only two we know that
Is
are the
Dvalin?
sovereigns. No,
Was it
Dvalin is not a
Dvalin?
sovereign.
No.
No.
Dragon. He was just the dragon of the west.
Yeah, there
or
are
something.
just dragons. Remember, there are dragons. The world was
Yeah.
ruled by dragons, but the dragon sovereign stood above them. So
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah.
there is a hierarchy. Okay.
yeah, Dvalin and the one Durin and stuff, like they're all just dragons. And Azaha too. Azaha's just a dragon.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to come up with a reason why Zhongli and Neuvillette would be avoiding each other. I'm sure it has to. It's most likely, in my
If
mind,
someone knows,
related
join
to
our
something
Discord and let us
dragon
know. But
Please
yeah.
correct us. It gives you a reason to join the Discord.
Yeah,
and tell
exactly.
Us exactly
Yeah,
how we're all
yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, go on, please tell us. I remember someone joined the Discord before and they were like, I just joined the Discord to tell you you're pronouncing the names wrong. I was like, all right. I mean, I appreciate it. But yeah, if you want to come talk to us, obviously, feel free to join the Discord. But yeah, so just that was the really interesting story. It was interesting that like the first 3 acts are like the gaming thing, and then the 4th one is just like, wow, Fontaine characters in leeway, like it was like kind
Bonus
of
chapter.
fun bonus thing. But
Oh, Fiorina was making a movie based off of one of Hu Tao's like scary stories.
oh, that's right.
That's why
So
she was there.
wanted to get the props.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, props and just like collaborate, and that's why.
Yeah. And then they were like, we might as well make a vacation out of it and see the Lantern Rite kind of thing.
And then Hu Tao was like constantly like retelling the spooky story just to keep scaring Fiorina.
Oh my god, that was really funny. Oh yeah, so for those the Lantern Rite, the other thing was the mini games. So there's a couple of mini games. Did you get a chance to play those, Kahi?
Yep.
Okay,
basically
so
you just.
Yep.
So pretty much a lot of them are, control the zones, get the coins, and knock people around. But apparently, like when you control, in one of the games where you stand on these glowing plates, you can stand on it and knock people off. But currently, the community meta, I guess it was called, is if everyone just stands on there, everyone just gets maximum points anyways, and it helps them get all their rewards faster.
Oh, interesting.
So if you don't knock people off, it's actually better for everyone.
Yeah,
because you accumulate more points for your main score. You can if you want, but it's just like.
Okay, so you're talking about
lose progress.
The community has been talking about is like the bumper car mini game, right?
Yes, but specifically the one where you have to stand on the square glowing plates to gain points. If you all stand on it, you all gain points pretty much at the same time, and you get a higher score that contributes to unlocking your primo gems.
Wait, so did you play the puzzle game and the fish slinging thing?
Yeah, I played all of them, but this is the one that I was just talking about first, because I know this is the one that had a specific, I guess, unspoken rule or meta.
Okay, yeah, I literally just went in there.
It is actually helping everyone.
It was supposed to be played. Like,
and you can play in order, yes.
But that's so boring. Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to like go in there and not play because it's the most efficient thing for everybody? And then what? No, that's so boring.
Well,
Don't do that. Don't do that,
I know
guys.
you can choose to play that way.
Have fun.
You can have fun however you want.
I'm gonna go. That's not fun.
You don't have to knock people off.
Go in there, walk in there, do nothing, and then get all the rewards. That's not fun. That's like literally just not playing the game for the best rewards. That's what
for that one event. You can do all the other mini games too. I'm just saying for that one mini game.
That's crazy. Anyway, if you see me in there, I'm gonna go in there and push everybody off. So, because that's how you're supposed to play. What about the puzzle thing? The puzzle thing was like actually kind of hard sometimes.
It was tricky.
Yeah, it was like
you have to max out all of your movement.
Yeah,
if you have one more space to move, you aren't doing it right. Yes.
Yeah, that was funny though. It was really cute. Like the animation was cute with like Goba and Yuegi. But yeah,
I like that one.
And then the fish one, I actually didn't finish all of it yet, but it's pretty much they have this every year. You do something like where you're zooming through the air and there's fireworks everywhere and you're collecting stuff. So it's not too different if you've done it before. It's pretty nice because it uses the new like fish mechanic, which is really nice in the new area and very smooth. So yeah, those are the three. It's pretty easy. There's a free Xingqiu outfit that you can get for Xingqiu, so don't forget to do that. And all the rewards, of course, from doing all the challenges. So that's pretty much it for Lantern Rite. I just wanted to talk really quickly about the new area, Chenyu Vale. Obviously we go there a little bit in the story. Gaming is from there. Now, like this new area is like so pretty. Like everybody is just like in awe of its like design and beauty. And so like Kahi, what are some like highlights that you've had going through this new area?
So there is an Adeptus, like a lesser Adeptus that's over here in the form of a goldfish, as well as the main boss, which is they're known, the creature themselves are called the Suani, Suanni, which is basically like the mountain tigers. So you basically go through a mini story there, which unlocks another part of that area, which is normally covered in fog, but now you can see it after you do the story. It's kind of like the desert region where you have the pyramid and you go through and follow the pyramid story and unlock that, and the
Right, or the
underground,
Aranara
and
space
then you
that's
solve
like
that.
blacked out until you start the
Aranara
Aranara
space,
quest.
right?
Yeah.
Where you fix a major thing in the environment, which either reveals more of it or just cleans it up in a way.
Right.
I like the new space because it is kind of high up and the architecture is amazing.
I mean, traversal is really
So that was a
nice with the
highlight.
fish thing, so it's really
Mm-hmm.
good.
Yep. All the new little tether points where you can aim and decide where you can go instead of following a set route, which is nice. So they're kind of building off of the Sumerio technologies. As far as like, discoveries or favorite parts of this region, I thought it was gonna be in Yilong Wharf a lot more, but I was just mesmerized by all the new mountainous regions.
Mm-hmm.
I have not even discovered like half the chest yet. I think I spent of all the places. Okay, there's three major areas in this. There's Chenyu Vale, which is kind of where you start off. They call it the Upper Vale, and then there's these southern mountains where all like the forests are, where the boss is. And then more to the west, we have Mount Laijin, which is kind of like the unlocked place where you have to, or revealed place in a way. You have to do the main story where you meet the goldfish and just keep following that, where you meet the little kid and you see his Adeptus, not Adeptus, but you see his like he made friends with that legendary Suani,
Right.
and then you figure out a little bit of their history. I as far as the like favorites of this whole region of space, I like the verticality, but also I like just how open everything feels. Like every time you turn around a bend, there's always like a chest or a little puzzle. It feels very dense with like mini games and puzzles. So there's always something to do. Good way to get resources. There's just, I know they have the symbol that tells you that there's another level below, another level above. But you know, like how you have winding caves that kind of go in a spiral. So
Right.
you're not too sure where the entrance of the cave is, because I kind of get lost sometimes. I have to sometimes put a marker that says this is where the cave starts instead of where it leads to, even though like the resources or something I'm trying to get to is underneath
Right.
and it goes into the mountain. That's the one thing I'm just still trying to get used to ever since like Sumeru came out. But yeah, of all the expanded regions to the major ones, so I guess you could call this the minor expansion to the area, I kind of like this one the best, just because the look is great. I like the colors, the color palette. I like the story behind it.
Yeah, they did a really great job.
What are some of the highlights for you? Like, is there a place that you liked or things that you discovered? What's your favorite?
I just love the view of like just really from anywhere, just looking out into the distance, and it just looks so nice.
Yeah,
And
picture worthy.
yeah, very picturesque, very insta worthy, you know. And yeah, I really like the area that the new boss is in, like just like at the bottom of that mountain in the area, and you can like take the slingshot fishes there, and you know it's like waterfalls. It's really nice. And yeah, I really like the fish mechanic. Like it really makes me feel free, like to fly around and like really explore that way. And the Swanee enemies are really cool, so like I really like them.
Tough too.
Yeah, and they're fun to fight actually, so that's always good. But that's pretty much it. Yeah, I just really love the aesthetic. I love the feel of the place. The music is so good, and yeah, it's like that little like the village, the just the living areas, like and how they kind of fit into the environment is really nice. And that the first village you go to, I don't remember the name. It's like the one where Gaming is from, I think. But like it reminds me of like the village where they showed that like one Genshin video of like last year's New Year, Chinese Lunar New Year. That was like this guy goes back home to China to like do like his dad is like a lantern maker or something. Like, do you remember that video?
Wait, which one?
Like an IR, like a real life video of like a short where like this
Huh.
guy is playing Genshin, but then he goes back home for the Chinese New Year, and his dad was always like one of the people who made like the fish lantern, and it was like a traditional thing, but like the son never wanted to
Oh, I
do
don't
it.
remember that.
Okay, it was like really good, but this town reminds me of that town. It's like on the water. It's like a real town in China. So it felt like maybe they got some inspiration from there, and that's where they shot their like short video. So if you haven't seen that, it's somewhere on their channel. I don't remember what it's called, but it was around last year around this time. And hold on, let me look it up real quick. All right, it's called New Year 2023 short film, Fish-Shaped Lanterns. And it's a 14-minute short movie about this kid going home, and his dad is a lantern maker, and he kind of like abandoned his dad because he didn't want to do it, and they have like a fight, and it's like, it's a very heartwarming story. And it reminds me of Gaming's story. Like it's literally the place looks like Gaming's place. The situation is similar. He's not like a tea guy, but he's a lantern maker. And I think if you watch this video, you'll get some really similar vibes to Gaming's story from this year's Lantern Rite. So check that out. It is on the YouTube channel, Genshin's YouTube channel, and it's pretty good. Okay, so let's move on to the next section, which is our community discussion question.
手をつなぎましょう。
Okay, so last week's question was, what do you want to see as an anniversary reward for Genshin this year? Right? And I asked on the Discord, what would you consider a substantial Lantern Rite yearly reward that nobody would complain about? So let's start with the Discord. So WL Forever Bana says, tackling this since I just finished the podcast, to be honest, personally, maybe it's just me, but I feel grateful to already have a reward given by a game because technically they're not obliged to give us anything as players, in my opinion. Maybe I just haven't seen the world yet. But if, let's say, I'm given the opportunity to package the perfect reward pack for players, it would include max 40 intertwined fates with like a limited edition pet or costume. I would love to have alternative outfits for our traveler, as well as maximum 9 crowns, essentially providing limited and exclusive premium items. Then to pacify perhaps the older players, perhaps tiering the reward quantity for the Fates and Crowns by the total number of active days playing the game could be an idea, so the longer you're with the game, the better the reward. Okay, end of lengthy comment. Yeah, so that's an interesting thing. They had something like that in Final Fantasy XIV where like if you're subscribed for a certain amount of months, you get like access to different tiers of rewards. I don't know if that would be a great idea for like an event where they like want to bring people back. But it is an idea in general. I think it'd be a nice idea to reward long-time players, because in that way, then it doesn't matter what they do for the for the other rewards, because people basically there's nothing in the game that rewards you for constantly playing. Like the FOMO thing, it's like it affects you every day where you have to get on every day to do the dailies. But if you don't do that, you lose those rewards like basically permanently, unless you don't play for 2 weeks and then you come back and you get something. But like there's nothing that rewards you for being with the game consecutively. You just get the normal stuff. Enjoys Genshin too much says, just because I can, I would like to get the 6 items that automatically turn into a character constellation to C6 my Wanderer. Certainly no one would complain about getting the opportunity to C6 their favorite character. Yeah, interesting. That would be crazy, actually. Now think about it. Like,
actually, based on that, I forgot to tell you this, but for the mini games for Lantern Rite, the character that you they let you pick. Since I already have Gaming and I already have Yao Yao, I already have pretty much C6 everyone else. I actually needed one more copy of Yunjin to make her C6.
Oh, nice.
So I got my finally got C6 Yunjin. So C6 Yunjin is like the one that gives you an attack speed buff.
Yep.
When you do your ult, which is great. Finally, so I
Yeah.
can have like a good Yunjin and Noelle combo going with double Geo.
Yeah, that's what I have
faster
for
attacks.
my
That's
Yoimiya,
awesome. So I like having an extra constellation. So a lot of people that I've seen, they responded, yeah, well, constellation would be good.
Yeah, but for a
but yeah,
5-star.
you can continue it. For a 5-star, that would be a little
Yeah.
much, but okay.
So let's see. I mean, if they let you insta C6 a 4-star, that'd be cool too. Let's see. Cloudy says, honestly, I don't really mind if we don't get much, but maybe something a little weird, like a weird name card or wings or a little pet. I would appreciate like 30 wishes or something since I'm free to play. So honestly, I'm happy for anything we get. Gilek said, I think realistically 30 wishes, maybe a skin and a discount on the shop. I mean, that's already $40 the first time double bonus and $50 without the bonus. It's actually a lot of money that they are potentially losing. As the old business saying goes, if you're not making money, you're losing money. I think things did get out of hand, and even if Hoyo says anything, it will do nothing but add fuel to the fire, even if it's 50 wishes. I think they should make higher rewards and say nothing. Interesting. Sarah Q says, I don't really care about the rewards because the game itself is already too good for me to quit, but I do understand the community's frustration of feeling underappreciated by MiHoYo. However, the whole review bombing act feels rather childish. The fact that people are literally in a tantrum throwing a fit doesn't make me feel good as a fellow Genshin player. Agreed. Now, with that said,
Same.
the whole 3 extra pull thing felt very tone deaf, as if MiHoYo were completely oblivious to the fact that they are being extremely stingy. A reasonable and realistic reward is a standard character selector, but upon activating the box, the player should have the option to get 30 intertwined fates instead if they'd rather take that, since not everyone cares about standard characters, especially for dolphins that own every standard unit or whales that already 6/6 everything. Being able to guarantee a certain standard character can be huge because some people can go years without getting the one and the only missing unit they want. This, in my mind, is the perfect balance between substantial reward that doesn't affect the game revenue too negatively. On the flip side, there's even a possibility for MiHoYo to build some goodwill here, which might create even more loyal customers and enhance the company reputation. And it blows my mind that MiHoYo is unable to understand this. Yeah, I mean, that's true. We're talking about getting a free character and what have you, but like, there are standard banner characters that don't have guarantees, that don't come back. So having a standard banner character selector once a year to either get a constellation for the character you want or get the characters you don't have is a really great idea. And for people that have those already, you just get like 30 fates instead. Or you can just choose 30 fates instead if you don't want any standard characters. Yeah, that's
when a
an
5-star
interesting point.
becomes a 4-star by rarity.
Yeah. Well, what?
You know how like it's harder to roll for a specific 4-star than it is a 5-star?
Yeah.
It becomes like that. Like the longer a character goes on, if they don't get added to that standard banner, then there's like nearly a 0 chance to get them ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
so that's
they
what
become
you mean.
more
Okay.
rare than getting a 4-star character.
Yeah, exactly. Which is rare. Octira says, for every year of Lantern Rite that has passed, allow us to summon that many 5-stars. Could be banner characters, standard characters, or weapons. If, say, for the 3rd Lantern Rite, it would summon a mixture of 3 of these, and the player would get to choose 1 to keep. The following year, you'd get to choose from 4, but still only keep 1. Makes it seem like the reward is getting bigger and more exciting each year, but in reality, you still only get 1 as a reward. Oh, I see.
So a 5-star selector instead of a 4-star
Exactly,
selector.
yeah. Since more characters and weapons will get added each year, the pool to wish from will get diluted faster than our ability to use more of these selected wishes. Wish selections. Blah, blah, blah. Wish selections. Chemleon says, don't they already give us a free 4-star of choice and 10 fates and lots of quests to get even more primo every single year? This year we also have an outfit for Xingqiu for free, so I'm fine as is. I don't know if this drama around rewards existed before listening. Oh, I didn't even know this drama around rewards existed before listening to the podcast. Well, that's part of why we do it, so you can be aware. It's not to like make you want to complain. It's just so you're aware of what's happening in the community, because this affects the game in some way or another. You know what I mean? People review bombing the game because they're upset about rewards is going to affect the game and the way the game looks to a lot of people. So that's why we felt it's important to talk about. Let's see. Solita says, the only thing I can think of is standard character selector. I'm seeing people go, man, I wish I had Jean for Farina, or Xianyun would be great with Diluc, and people who have been here one day don't even have them. Like, oh, since day one, don't even have them. Also, give me Mona. It should be easier for them to give standard wishes, unlike the people requesting 50 plus limited pulls. Yeah, I mean, like literally, even just giving standard wishes like would be a thing. I think a lot of people wouldn't mind, like getting 50 standard pulls. You know what I mean? Like at least that then you'd have a chance of getting some of the characters. It would just like up the chances.
Yeah, some way to guarantee, like some kind of pity system, some kind of selector, some kind of voucher or special summons. That would be great because the main reason why people are complaining about like a gacha system is because they want a character, but they have to put too much time, effort, and money to even attempt at a chance to get that character, and it's frustrating when you don't get it. So anything that kind of like, you know, heightens their chance to get what they want instead of buying it directly is just, you know, up the chances, which is giving you more wishes. Of course, a lot of people would be happy with the character themselves. So there's a lot of way to get people what they want.
Yeah.
And even the wishes themselves aren't what people want. It's the characters that they can wish for. So
yeah,
you can kind of bypass a lot of this stuff with other types of rewards other than the wishes.
And speaking of other types of rewards, this is actually a genius idea that I didn't even think about. But Bean says maybe this is a bit of a weird way to go about rewards, but it maybe instead of giving us more, discounting the things we already have. Maybe a discount on Mora, a weapon, talent, character upgrades, as well as artifact leveling, and even a small Stardust discount for wishes in the shop. On top of that, raising the purchase limit of the Stardust wishes from 5 to 10 or even to 20 would be great. That's pretty interesting. I think, like, if they gave us, if
like
they're
8
like
wishes
hey,
for 10, yeah.
if they're like, hey, you know, thank you for all being loyal players of our game. Here's 3 intertwined fates, and you're gonna get, I don't know, 40% off all like character leveling, anything during the event, like everything that would you would ascend a character with, like you just need 40% of the Mora, or you need like, you know, this or that, like some kind of substantial thing to affect, like to feel like, you know, it makes a difference, right? Because I think the thing that still people want to see is like when you're rewarded, when you're given something, it's just, it has an impact, right? It affects you in some way. But 3 wishes doesn't affect most people in any way, and probably won't. So that's the big thing that we were talking about last time. So anyway, I think that's a great idea. Is like one that's worth considering, which is like discounting things in game versus giving us more things in game, right? And I don't mean discounts like buying with money. I mean like discounts like it costs me less materials to make this thing, or like when I level artifacts, I get it's like times 5 every time. Can you imagine? It was like artifact leveling was like guaranteed times 3 to times 5 every time. Like it's not guaranteed times 5, but it's like guaranteed,
Supercharged.
or even just times 2. Like Jesus, like that would be so good. So imagine that as a reward. Like I'm imagining people hearing that now, but like, oh my god.
And they do that actually. They do that for the Windbloom event when they give you the new weapon. Like we're leveling it up.
For the new weapon.
It's like, yeah, it's 50% faster. You get more EXP, more like, you know, level ups for it.
Yeah, so that we know they can do it.
Even if it's for a weapon, that they can definitely do it. The technical capacity is there.
Yeah, if they just said, here's 3 fates, and every time you level an artifact or a weapon, there's a guaranteed times 2 chance, and then still a possible times 5 chance of getting more experience, that would be huge. Everybody would love that. Nobody would care about how much fates and money and blah blah blah. You know, but it also means that people would play the game
able
less.
To level their characters better.
People would play the game less, quote unquote. But the thing is, like, I don't know if they understand how long the grind for some of these people are. But anyway, so yeah, as an idea, I think it's brilliant. But that's pretty much it for Discord. What about on Spotify, Kahi?
So Spotify. All right. So, a lot of responses to this one. So, first one is by Brennan. So, I feel like maybe 10 wishes and a free 5-star character if you did like a bunch of quests. Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. Like 10 wishes and a character, one free character every single year. I'd say that's pretty reasonable based on how many characters come out per year.
Right.
Next we have Sophie Shear. Says, with how generous Honkai is, I think 20 pulls will be fair at least, or give us a free standard 5-star. I still don't have Kaching and have been playing for 3 years. See, I feel that's a standard character. A lot of people don't want Kaching and have her. A lot of people want her and don't have her.
Give me the...
I mean, how do you appease that? give me Dia again. Yes, please. I mean, 20 pulls, that'd be great. If it was 20, no one would complain. That's a lot.
I think so.
Next up is Small. Small says, I think a free event 5-star, that be, mind you, would be warranted at this point. If not, maybe 3 to 5 guarantee tokens. Maybe that would remove the 50-50 for a banner a single time.
Oh, interesting.
This would make wishing so much better. You see, I like that.
That's pretty
Maybe
innovative.
some kind of yeah, because what I was saying earlier is people don't want the wishes. They want the character that the wishes are used for.
Good point.
If they can get something else that helps them get a character easier, like a voucher or a guarantee token, I would gladly accept that. And it's a very auspicious item. It's a very special item. It'll exist in your bag, and you know, people got this from Lantern Rite. People did this event. People did this achievement. People did this whole long quest line. They show exactly what you get from this event. I still have lanterns from the first one, and I just pop them here and there. But yeah, something that helps make the event a little bit more memorable would be nice. Next up we have Harry, who says, character of your choice, even if it's a 4-star. So they basically open up the roster and you have choose one. So Harry says people could get constellations or new characters to try. That also makes sense. Because if you are the type of person to like skip all of like 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4 just to get one of the characters out of that whole expansion, you could wait a whole year and get it.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where like, remember when like Eula wasn't on a banner for like a year and a half or something?
Yep.
Like this like how did we remedy that, right? Like character selectors. I mean, or make 3 banners. Because I think we're getting to the point where we start needing 3 banners now.
We might have to.
Yeah. So
yeah.
that's kind of crazy. Like we have so many characters. But okay.
Okay, next up we have GamerCat22. I could see a choice weapon or a standard banner 5-star as a Lantern Rite reward on the last day. Oh, okay, timing is interesting. Alright, the last day. And the other rewards being filled by Primo Gems or Fates. You know, that there's significance to that, because like if you wait till the last day and you have that one last thing, you know, like how Apple does that one more thing and that one last thing event.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. The timing of it all can also make a very big difference as far as like the emotional reaction to it or whatnot. Sumeta says 1 Ganyu Shen his skin plus 10 pulls. Or if they can put 10 pulls for each year, so that'd be 30 pulls. Okay, so cumulative. The longer the game goes on, everyone is rewarded. So like if you come in right now, you will still get 30 pulls.
Yeah, I think some gachas do that.
That sounds nice. Because when you have a bigger pool of characters, I mean, you would still get at least one of them. There still always has to have some kind of randomness in it. I don't know why. Alright, next up we have James, who says, I don't know, but maybe a mini event where you just fight hordes of enemies with every character available to fight with. It'd be so cool to make all the teams I want as a free-to-play player.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I like about this?
Yeah.
It lets people play with any character they want.
You know what solves this? Divine Ingenuity.
Yes.
Yeah,
that also solves
this doesn't need to be a thing if
yourselves,
Divine Ingenuity comes back.
And you're actually 100% right, because as the creator of that domain, you had access to the full roster. You can just say, hey, you don't, even if you don't have D-Look, here, use D-Look.
Yep.
And everyone's going to play their domains. You get the community to want to invest and play more, which gets them to invest into the character and look forward to actually playing with the character so they can keep the character.
Dude, we need Divine Ingenuity back.
It's a whole... It is an avenue. It is definitely a way to, you know, entice people. Next up we have Sam, who says, honestly, I'm just happy with the free leeway 4-star character and free 10 pull. As a free-to-play, I'm happy with what I get. Beggars can't be choosers. Happy Lantern Rite. Yep, I like that attitude, because you are getting a free 4-star, which is already another character you get to use, and there's already a bunch of other people, all the meta slaves who are saying, we have like people who have been in the game since year 1 who still are very good and break the game somehow. Bennett, Xingqiu, Zhangling, they're still great in every team, and you can beat the content, every single piece of content with that team. That's fine. But, you know, anything that guarantees progress, or like an extra thing, or like a character or a new toy, Next up, we have Harold, who says, "This is a really good episode. Um, I really don't mind. I am happy with the game itself and will continue to play. Entitlement and ego got the better of some players." You know what I like about this attitude? Yeah, it's a fun game. If you don't get anything, play a different game, go somewhere else, do something you enjoy. You don't have to play this one game, but yes, I do empathize I do sympathize with some of the other people who are like, oh, I wish I had more. I would love more too, but I'm not gonna get that much overly emotionally invested into that. The Metalhead Otaku. What is it? Oh no. The Metalhead Otaku says the 3 Fate announcement was so incredibly tone deaf. Of course, if you compare Honkai as the same developer, both gacha and a free character is meta. I think what they're basically saying is, Honkai did give us a free 5-star and Genshin does not. It's anything we can do like that would be nice, but as a lot of people are just trying out ways to get the characters that they want. It's really what it boils down to.
Well, I think they're saying like, of course you compare Honkai, it's the same developer and they're both gacha, so like that's saying you should compare them? Is that what it's saying?
So it's just the difference in the rewards is what the main issue in the big community, the bigger part of the community is talking about. So if the developer can do it for one of their games and not for another one of their games, it seems a little suspicious.
Yeah,
so,
I still think that like if you put the same reward in 2 different games, the point is that the impact of that reward is different. It's not about the reward, it's about the impact it has on the player. So if I have 10 pulls in Honkai, but if Honkai every day gives me 5 pulls, then getting 10 pulls is just like another day. It's like, oh, it's twice as much. But if I get 10 pulls in Genshin, but I can only build up enough for 10 pulls like after 2 months, then the 10 pulls means a lot, right? Because I'm getting a lot more. Like that's the difference. It's like that example is like totally made up, but like the value of the pulls is different based on the game. Plus, like how much time it takes to get them. Whether it's like the gameplay is like where you just auto battle freaking like Honkai's version of Spiral Abyss, which is Memory of Chaos. Like your team is so good you can auto battle it and earn a ton of rewards really fast, or you have to like manually fight Spiral Abyss, and then that's it, and then you have to wait 6 weeks. Like like they're 2 different games. So the whole like they're the same developer, but like they should give the same rewards thing, it doesn't always make sense. Sometimes it does, but I don't think it always makes sense. And Genshin's been around longer.
Different game.
Right.
Yep. Different game, different fan base, different population, different monetization methods, different uses for what you pull for. There's differences. So to me it does make sense why there is difference in rewards, why different reward structure, different path to rewards. So the last one is by Quiet Gem. Yes, I would do a free Xianyun and a total of 20 intertwined fates. I'm sure no one would complain about that. I guarantee you no one would. Not even the free to play players, not the whales, because everyone got the character that came out and is new and everyone was looking forward to, and it's a canonically powerful character, and it's a character that we all know. Yeah, people just want the character. They don't want the rewards. They don't want the money. They don't want the artifact. They want the character. They want the toy. They want to use the new toy, the shiny new toy. So any way that can get them closer to that, people would appreciate. But the amounts of the rewards the amount of the wishes is a different thing. So I guess I know me and you, we kind of answered this the last episode.
Right.
But for me, it would be a character picker. Like, which character do I want? Do I want a constellation? Do I want a new one? Because that's exactly what the 4-star picker does. I got a constellation, and now I'm great. Do I not have the character? Obviously, I'll pick the character that I don't have. So it would appease the completionists, or the collectivists, or the collectors. It would appease people who are just trying to build one kind of character or team. What was yours? What was your solution for the Lantern Rite reward?
Well, I put out a number that was like, I don't know, 40, 50 pulls just for free, and then that's it. Like, no one will complain. No one, like, I think no one would complain about a character picker too. But my point is, like, one reward that no one would complain about. Like, free-to-play players wouldn't complain about it. People who spend a lot of money on the game wouldn't complain about it. Like, it can't be that hard. There's so many options for that. So why can't they do that? That's like the real question. So yeah, so for me, my example was 50 pulls, but that doesn't necessarily have to be what I want. I just want something that actually affects the way we play the game. Like 3 pulls does nothing. And I know some people, like, I know your camp is also like, I'm just happy the game is still going, and something like I don't get rewards, that's fine. But like isn't part of celebrating with your community doing things like giving rewards? How else are you celebrating with your community? You're just making content you were going to make. Like, I think that's the whole point of like events and rewards and stuff. Like, you're supposed to be celebrating.
How to make it special?
Yeah, you gotta make it special. And they're not doing that in the game. They're not saying, thank you for being with us. Here is XYZ. No, they're doing the content they were planning on doing.
Okay.
It's part of the story, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's it. Like, they're not celebrating with us. You know what I mean? Not in that
celebration.
sense.
Yeah, celebration, of course, does involve gifts, does involve rewards, sharing a meal, sharing some festivities, partaking in the fun activities. Yeah, there's many ways to enjoy a celebration and a festival. Of course, in a game where like you're doing everything for rewards, you're doing everything for like compensation. People who invest money sometimes don't get what they want. People who don't invest any money sometimes do. There's a unbalanced reward system for people who are getting everything by chance.
Right, which is on purpose.
Which is definitely on purpose. It's a marketing or
it's a business model
tactic.
Yeah,
it's a business model. So let me try to steelman the argument for MiHoYo's side, or for Hoyoverse. So let's say if I'm a company, then I'm trying to make sure that my company can stay profitable and still engage with people and still make sure that everyone's having like a good time. I can give out a little bit of rewards. If I were in charge of this, why would I choose to give out these little rewards but also spread out the rewards throughout an event? Okay, if I give out too many things too freely, then there's an overwhelming impact, or I guess you could say effect or influence on people's spending habits. Now, I'm not trying to endorse this. I'm not condoning this kind of behavior. But what I'm saying is the game we all knew from the beginning was a gacha game. If you condition your customers to not want to spend because they're going to think, oh, I'll just wait for the free rewards over here, I'll get my guaranteed character, and I'll be free no matter what. I'll always get what I want and I don't have to spend. If you oversaturate your entire customer base with that kind of thought process, you are disincentivizing anyone from spending money on your game ever.
Right.
So, although I don't like it, I don't like that thinking, I don't like that business practice, I can kind of understand why they
Wait, but what's wrong with doing a
once
a year big Palooza event thing? Like
I
said,
all I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to take the side. I'm going to try to explain it from their perspective. I'm trying to get myself into their mindset. I don't know why.
That makes sense. Like, the mindset and everything makes sense. But the point is that this is supposed to be like an exception. This is supposed to be a celebration. This is supposed to be like a, like if once a year you got a guaranteed character you wanted, that's not gonna affect your our mindsets as players to be like, oh, I'm not gonna pull any characters because I'll get one guaranteed character in a year or whatever. And even that, I still think picking a character is more likely to lose money. Like you said, they can skip a whole banner, but if you give someone like 50 pulls, like, there's no guaranteeing they'll even get one 5-star character, even though it sounds like a lot of pulls. Like, it's not going to change your mindset. It's the same kind of, oh, I have 50 pulls, I'll spend them. Oh, I didn't get what I want. Okay, I gotta save up Primo Gems, or I gotta spend money. But like, that's like a once a year gift I'm talking about.
Yeah. All I'm trying to say is, like, as if a company wants to stay profitable, they always have to consider ways that they can continue to have a steady revenue stream. I do not like how they have to think about like their business model like that. I would like to have a game that is
you're
just
acting like the game
free
doesn't
and
make
fun to play.
billions of dollars. They literally just have to put
No.
costumes in the game,
What?
and they'll make billions more.
Honestly, you're absolutely right. But the other thing is, I'm trying to put myself into their shoes. Like, why would I be stingy upon rewards? I don't know the exact reason.
That's
but I'm
the
trying
thing
to
that
at least
everybody's
explain it from their side.
that's why this is like a controversy, is because
Mhm.
they're a publicly wildly successful, globally, internationally successful company. Why are they giving us 3 pulls? Why is that the only like, I saw a post that was like for this other company, I forgot, it was like Sephora or something, and they hit like a $10 billion in revenue this year goal, like $10 billion in revenue this year, and the only thing they gave to the employees who make that happen was a sugar cookie that says, "Congratulations, we hit $10 billion." That's like this situation. They're pushing the whole year. They're like pushing, like, we gotta get the sales. We're gonna hit our goal. It's gonna be awesome. Yay! No free meal, no voucher, no not like they're like, okay, thank you for all your hard work. Here is a sugar cookie that says, that printed on it, we made $10 billion. Here's all you get, and you did the work for us. So that's how a lot of players feel, is that they are the reason this company is successful. And yes, they don't work for them and get paid for them or whatever. I mean, some of them do. But, even the free-to-play players keep the game alive. Like, there's not much. I don't think that it would be very easy for them to give rewards that would actually hurt them financially in any way. I think the thing is, like, the fact that it's so little is the jarring thing. It's like,
Which
you're
I agree
so
with.
successful?
We could always get more. I understand.
Yeah.
I completely
Yeah. So the business part
understand
makes
how people,
sense, but I think it doesn't apply to Hoyoverse right now. You know what
because
I mean?
they're already so huge. Is your argument?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. It's like,
which I agree. Yeah.
It's like a whole. I mean, why aren't they doing quality of life things that we want in Genshin? Why is it so slow? Right? Like, it's another thing. That one I can understand more of, because that's like, there's parts of it we don't understand, but like, they make a lot of money, and if we're talking about them giving us a reward to keep the players happy in the community, to keep them playing the game, and they're gonna like give us just this, I feel like, it makes sense to be like confused that like that's all they can spare. Even though it won't actually, like, there's so much more they could give that wouldn't really guarantee any sort of money loss from them, right? So, it's just a weird place to be, because if this was like a company that was like, it's their first game, they're like kind of struggling, like, they're not like, blah blah blah, like, we don't know what the future of the game is like, it'd be different. But like, games that have to like keep themselves alive. But Genshin is very, very successful. Like, really successful.
Even though I haven't played like a lot of other gacha games, I do notice that a lot of these other smaller gacha games do tend to give out way more lucrative free rewards a lot.
Yeah, because it takes less resources
there's a correlation
to make a lot of those. Like the game,
well,
like
that's
Genshin.
True too.
Yeah, Genshin is like a very high resource, like heavy game, and it's expensive to make. But they make so much money, and a lot of these gacha games, it's not as an involved of a process, and they make a lot of money from whales, from people who just spend hundreds of dollars on the game. Their player base isn't as big, but it keeps them alive.
So as a company who is basically building their entire empire off of the success of this one particular game, wouldn't it make sense to have a mindset of protect that particular revenue stream and maintain it at all costs, because it is funding all of your other projects, including Zenless Zone Zero, including Honkai Impact, including like Star Rail. I mean, you have to preserve that
right, but the difference with preserve and not take any risk at all, like preserve and not take any risk at all, like meaning, aren't they not taking financial risk and liability by giving us 3 intertwined fates? Like, they should just give us nothing if that's their mindset. But
So
they're giving us 3 fates.
It's a tricky mindset. Well, the thing about this particular one is, it's been 3 years already. There have been Lantern Rite event rewards for the past 3 years. This one in particular, for some reason, is the one that blew up the most and the hardest. So
yeah, because it's been 3 years and they haven't changed it.
I know, that's why they could not predict this.
The game is more successful now than it was before. The game content is great. People are sharing it. It's like so popular. It's won awards. They have Honkai Star Rail now on top of that, making a ton of money.
Behind it. Yes.
Yeah, so like they're gonna give Genshin players who help them build up their company 3 fates. Like, is it that hard? It's literally digital currency. Like,
so, I mean,
and it doesn't even guarantee anything.
After all is said and done, we can all agree, everyone will agree, more rewards would be great. We can all agree that getting something is good too. But, I mean, anything that gets us closer to a character, because the character is really what we want. The characters make the money, not the weapons. The characters that use the weapons, they are the ones that are drawing people to the game. They're the ones that keep people invested because of their story. They're the ones that are letting us have the fun because we can empathize, we can experience their story, we can create fan art, we can create all kinds of other fan-made creations, animations. We can actually rally around the characters too, like emotionally, and like that's the bread and butter of the whole organization, for the whole company.
Like, you know what
I
thought
are what we want.
With that comment about like we should get a discount on stuff. Like, why I was like struggling in the middle of it is because, like, okay, so let's say intertwined fates, like you get a couple to get a character, like you're saying, the character is what we want. But once you get the character, what keeps you playing the game? You have to grind. You have to get the materials to level that character up. You have to get their artifact set. The end game is literally artifact grinding. So it'd actually be more of a loss for them probably to give us like a ×2 artifact XP, because that would mean we have to farm less, which means we have to play the game less. Right? The thing it would help is the people who want to level up every character and get them everybody to a good point. That would help them, but what it essentially equates to in the end is playing the game less. So intertwined fates don't equate, like getting a character doesn't equate to playing the game less. And like,
well, keep in mind playing the game is not what makes the company money. It is the spending of the money to get the character in which we want to use to play the game for however long we want.
Right. Well,
so
but
playing the game technically is costing them to run the game.
They gotta keep you in the game. No, they gotta keep you in the game, and they gotta expose you to like going to the shop like, you know why they have in other gacha games they have like
the money
in the shop every
day.
So
it's not the gameplay is not what they make money off of. It's the money that we spend.
Well, they make money for people who keep playing the game because it gives the game exposure. It gives the game support, like people are playing with their friends and stuff. So the point
which in turn causes people to want to pay.
Exactly.
So, and I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, it's like it's called the foot in the door tactic.
Will draw people in.
Yeah, like the reason that those.
Well, the foot in the door tactic is also like people who are just given free rewards. Like, oh hey, I got free stuff. I'll go in. I'll check out the game.
Yeah, exactly. Or like the pulls we get in the shop every month. It's to make you go into the shop, so you can see the shop. Because if that didn't exist, there would be people who never go in the shop. Right? The whole point is to get people to go into the shop, and you can't get people to go into the shop for free if they don't keep playing the game, right? People don't just typically go into the game, spend a bunch of money, and then stop playing the game. Or if they get what they want,
I actually do know people like that.
Yeah, well, there are exceptions, okay, but like the general public, they're trying to herd them into a certain place, and playing the game is really important. So if we all stop playing the game, even though we're not paying for it, like they would make a lot less money. Right? Like, we'll just stop playing. Then then what? There would be nothing for them to like entice us with.
Right, so I mentioned this like last episode as well. The biggest thing that you could do to a game to protest is just not play it. Like if you really are not having fun in a game,
right, exactly.
Stopping the game, stopping that game, stop playing the game gives them all the data they need to realize, okay, when we did this, all these players completely stopped and we have no data to go off of, that's when they get panic. When you have no information to work off of, that's when companies panic because they don't know why. They just know that, oh, we did this, suddenly 10 million players stopped playing. Okay, let's make a big change now. That's gonna really compel them to.
But you know, a lot of those
doing
people,
something.
they just jumped on the Honkai Star Rail. They were just like,
True.
so
So
like, we're gonna support the
Hoyoverse
company
still
anyway.
has those same people.
Yeah. So I mean,
Give
you
them
know,
another revenue.
in the end, it's just like, the rewards thing isn't necessary, but it doesn't like really. It's the whole thing. It's like MiHoYo or Hoyoverse being tone deaf to the community. Like, it's about community sentiment and stuff. Like, I don't think that this should be based around a business decision. Like, it doesn't, like, the whole point is the community engagement and the community appeal. But like, you know, like, if they think that it's really enough, like that the game is good, they make the game good, and that they don't need to give us rewards, then whatever. Like, that's their whole thing. But this is why people are upset, is because, wait a second, like, I'm playing the game and like there are other games I could be playing, and so like that's what the incentives are supposed to be for, right? Like, you give me rewards, I come play your game because I have more to do. But if you don't give me a lot of rewards, I can just spend those 3 wishes in 5 seconds and then I can go play a different game. So I think people want to play the game. They want to be rewarded for playing the game. Like, they want to show loyalty, but like, it's really hard because the market is so saturated. There's so many good games out there that, like, you know, like Sarah was saying, he's like, I already love this game too much. It doesn't even matter to me because I'm gonna play it anyway. So, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You can be like that, but like, that's where the confusion is for a lot of people. It's like, do you want me to play your game, or are you just like, you know what I mean? So it's really interesting because like, I'm not a free to play player, so like, I don't like.
Yeah, we spend how much we want.
Yeah.
Some people spend more, some people spend less. So, okay, I know we've been rambling on about this for a little bit longer than we'd like to, but I wanna wrap it up on the whole idea about these wishes in general. Is people want to get closer to the characters they want. They want to be able to get the character they want. Either that, and then after they get the character they want to be able to enhance the character that they want and just get stronger and better reasons to play the game, which was what we were saying. Make the game play better too, because that will entice people to get into the game, stay in the game, keep them exposed, keep them happy, and then they'll be more inclined to spend. So it's just, we all will be looking forward to more rewards in the future. It's
We'll
going to be
see.
really interesting seeing next year's Lantern Rite. I am really looking forward to that.
I mean, the thing is, if we all take this and then we just keep playing, then they're just gonna be like, well, I guess they didn't care that much, and then they'll just
Yeah,
give us
that
the
wave
same
just
thing.
that wave just is over.
Yep.
That wave passed. We're good.
Well,
Okay, here's four fates.
yeah, exactly.
We'll
4
see you
fates,
next
4
year,
years.
everybody.
Woo, see you next year for 5 whole fates. Anyway, it's like, it doesn't matter. Like you said, in the end, it's a game. But like, the point, and I think the fun part about arguing about this or thinking about it, is because like, it's because we like the game that we're talking about this, right? Like, we want to like the game more. So, you know, I don't know. It's just fun. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care. Like, at the end of the day,
Really
it's a free to play game that I can like literally just stop playing. Like, some days I don't even log in sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, that's how much it's like whatever.
Uh-huh.
But I think it is an argument it's a discussion to have, because like, how games keep players interested is really important. And like, I think that that's really important. And so if your community is asking for something and you give them the opposite of what they want, what does that say about your relationship with the community? And this applies to everything. This applies to like their quality of life improvements. This applies to like Honkai versus Genshin, like all that stuff. So this is like really a Hoyoverse and the Genshin community, plus a Hoyoverse and the Star Rail community, and how those things interact with each other. So anyway, I thought it's a fun conversation to have. I don't know. I love exploring. Sorry, oops, I hit my mic. I would like I keep hitting again. I would like to explore this topic further in the future. I'm very curious what happens and what kind of rewards we see for just different things. But anyway, yeah, like, we did ramble on about that. So let's move on to our last segment, which is One Last Wish. Kahi, are you ready?
ワクワクする事件が間もなく起きる。そんな予感がするよ。
I have saved up my last bit of 162 Primo Gems to see if I can finally get this darn weapon.
my gosh.
I
All right.
really need this weapon.
Okay.
It'll be
Go for
hilarious
it.
if this is the episode we get it when we're talking about stingy rewards.
I know.
All right, whirling on the weapon banner. Here we go. The last wish I can make for a while. And it's blue.
Oh.
Wow. That explains everything.
That does.
How metaphorical.
What was it?
It was just a book. I didn't even look at the book. It was blue.
All right, my turn. Ready? And go. And it's purple.
Well, what do you know? I think someone got something good.
And it's guess what it is?
It's a bow.
It's Noel.
Noel, yes.
But this is on my NA account, so I actually don't have C6
Uh-huh.
Noel, so it's actually not too bad.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, if I got C6 Noel, I would definitely use her as a DPS on this account because I do not have a Geo DPS on this account. And she's C4 now. Woo! Okay, so that about wraps up the show for today. I don't know why I'm talking like that. That about wraps up the show for today. As always, we appreciate you listening. Obviously we all have opinions on this. Feel free to come to our Discord if you want to chat more. It's always fun to talk and hear other people's opinions. If you have time, please leave us a comment and a review. We'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening. Follow us on Twitter, once again, at Genshin Guys Pod, or Kahi at Kahiao, K-A-H-I-Y-A-O, on Twitter and YouTube, and me on Twitch at twitch.tv/jside, and Twitter at jside gaming. And there you go. And as always,
At Astro Abyssos.
星と支援を目指せ。
Enjoy.